Hello, everybody. Welcome to the view with the high-tech intro graphics that we have, courtesy of PowerPoint. How's everyone doing? Happy Christmas, Happy New Year. And I'm delighted to say that I am joined by Alex from American Leeds podcast and Michael Maynard, Leeds Faithful on Twitter, also joins us on the American Leeds podcast. Slight change of venue, but great to have the band back together. I was looking forward to this one. How have we all been doing? How was Christmas, Michael? That way.
Yeah, it was great. Thanks. I've got young children, so Christmas is always a magical time. It's great, and Santa was good to me as well. I hope I was equally good to everybody else. One of the things I finally got done last year I got this signed Calvin Phillips jersey. It was never framed, and then this year we got it framed, but it's on the floor right now because it's too heavy to put on the wall. Sorry.
Eats what he wants. He eats what he wants. He's Calvin Phillips. He eat what he wants. I love it.
I'm one to talk.
Hey, I only ever film myself from this height, you know. Alex, how have you been doing? How was Christmas?
Christmas was good. Got a lot of pullovers, quarter zip pullovers. That's the move. I was telling you guys off camera, I've got we actually exchanged gifts with my wife on New Year's Day just because Christmas is so crazy with the child and grandparents exchanging that we just do it a few days later. So I'm hoping for a couple of lufc swag, some gear. And by the way, Jer, I like your, I don't know what you've got on there.
This
a tracksuit.
This is a story.
Love it.
Yeah, I'll tell you this in a sec. I highly recommend the Leeds training gear. Not so much the Leeds match day gear, but the training gear is lovely. They nailed it this year. This is an interesting thing because my brother got me this for Christmas, and my brother is notorious in our family for putting a hell of a lot of thought behind his gifts. There's always a meaning in them. There's a football club in Cork in Ireland, down very south of Ireland, called Leeds AFC or AFC Leeds Cork, Leeds AFC Cork, and he thought it would be, there's a connection there. Either they were founded by someone in chat will tell me who's from Cork will tell me I'm wrong here, and that's okay. But apparently there's a connection between Leeds fans forming this club down in Cork, and they called it Leeds AFC. So after Leeds, but my brother thought it'd be nice to get a top from Leeds that wasn't Leeds but was Leeds, so I really like this. So
cool.
So that's where this came from. But I live, Alex. I live in quarter zips. Live in them. Big fan. So what we're here tonight, myself and Michael, when Alex was unwell, myself and Michael did a should we get rid of players? Should we loan them out, or should we keep them? Essentially, a couple of weeks ago, during the World Cup break, I had so many great intentions of doing lots of different streams, doing an analysis and breakdown of all the goals we've conceded. And then I stopped working and realized I didn't want to sit at my laptop anymore. So that none of that happened. But we did do one stream. And then the plan tonight with everyone here is we're going to do one and look at not all of the players we've been linked with, but the players we've been linked with probably in the last, say, 4 or 5 weeks. And even at that, there's probably 1 or 2 missing. And also just kind of have a discussion around where we feel that we are. And we can talk about yesterday's game a little bit. So, like, just top line kind of stuff. But Michael, how did you feel about the game last night?
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't necessarily disappointed with the result because, we expected to get beat. And when you have really low expectations, it's not, you're not usually going to get disappointed. So, we have to acknowledge that we're playing the best team in the world. I think some of where I was a bit disappointed was that we just didn't really seem to be trying to attack at all. For a significant part of the match. I think that those feelings that I was having about that resolved somewhat by the end because we really did sort of turn it on in the last 20 odd minutes or so. It was nice to get a goal as well, of course. And that was a beautiful, beautiful corner, really well taken, really well headed in. So that was nice to see. But I was a little disappointed in the way that I don't know. It just seemed like we were afraid of the ball for a lot of that match. We were afraid of the ball. We were afraid of what to do. We were basically, I mean, I understand, the need to just sort of clear it as much as possible. And I felt that the defense was holding out really, really well, but it almost seemed like we had no plan on what to do with the ball ourselves at all. And the passing was really bad yesterday. And I understand when you're playing a team like City, they don't give you any time or space, but we are still a team of at least half decent Premier League footballers. You would have expected some of the passing to go a little bit better than it was. I think Mark Rocca, who has been, for the most part, since he joined, a really solid player with, really good passing stats, obviously very, very good at advancing the ball and getting it forward, progressing the ball, just had a horrendous time yesterday. He couldn't hit a pass at all. I think we really felt very keenly the fact that Adams wasn't there. And there's not enough evidence yet to know whether this is the case or not, but I feel like it may be that Adams provides the cover for Rocca to be able to do what he does, and that maybe Adams's presence makes Rocca seem maybe better than he is. But based on yesterday alone, you can't really say that necessarily, but it's something I'm going to be watching for any matches where Adams maybe isn't available. Hopefully there aren't any more and he can just crack on now that his suspension's over. But it would be interesting to see how that shakes out, because I think we definitely did miss Adams there. And I don't think we just missed him for what he does, but I think how he allows the others to play with more freedom as well.
Yeah, there's a lot I agree with in there as well, but I'll come back to that in a minute. Alex, how do you think that we did? How do you think the game went?
Yeah, I mean, Jerry, you talk a lot about when we're scouting players and stuff, who wants the ball, or so-and-so looks like they want the ball. They always want the ball. They're always making themselves available for the ball. And there just didn't seem like that was on our side until the 75th minute. And I agree with what Michael said about the midfield. We lost the midfield battle, but in particular, player that I was disappointed with was Brendan Aronson. I just thought he was off a bit, and I didn't necessarily agree with the ability to start him. It looked like he was in the central area last night. I don't necessarily agree with that. I think we went with the best pressing system off the ball, but I don't necessarily think going forward there was a lot of ideas. The only person that wanted the ball was Willie Gnonto, and he was incredible. He was a player that really expressed himself last night, and he was the silver lining in the game. Other than that, there wasn't much to be too excited about. I guess I'll also say the delivery from Sam Greenwood was excellent too. So that was and that ball into Pascal was great. So that was something else to be excited about. But for 3/4 of the game, it just wasn't clicking. So maybe the dust is knocked off and we can kick on to Newcastle.
Yeah, I think there's something probably in that last bit there, Alex, because the 3 preseason friendlies that I watched, I know there was a 4-1 mixed in behind closed doors against the Premier League or Championship club as well. But what I noticed with those games was the tempo was incredibly slow. And it felt to me like a training match. I know we were trying to 4-3-3, and it felt to me at times where they were kind of just walking through the kind of the shape where they need to be when the ball's in different parts of the park. And then to come back into the Liverpool game, the Man City game, which was going to be played at a pace. And if you'd watched the Liverpool game that Man City played just beforehand, you would see that this was going to be a very stark reaction to what we had just experienced for 3 or 4 games. I felt slightly different about parts of the game, but all over I'm pretty much the same as you guys. I thought the first 42 and a half minutes, even half that, the first 25 minutes, I thought, particularly that first 25-minute block, you could see Leeds playing with a defensive style. I think we've been critical of Leeds over the course of this season for not having a defensive strategy. And they seemed to, it was a low block. And it was clear as day it was a low block. And I've never seen us play a low block before. So it was kind of nice for me to see this kind of this working. The 3 midfielders and the 3 strikers are kind of overlapping each other. So they're covering off all the passing lanes. Outside the first 30 seconds, not much is getting through to Haaland. Rodri's been pretty ineffective. And Leeds are kind of sitting back and holding the ball. The issue for me was when we did win the ball back, we just kicked it. We just kicked it down the park. We didn't even look. And to Michael's point, and you're 100% correct, the amount of times Mark Rocket just punted the ball down the park with no one else. And I think Brendan Aronson was pretty critical in his own press conference of it as well, when he said, like, we've got to pass the ball better. We've got to keep the ball more. When we have chances to keep the ball, we've got to keep it. And then Jesse said the same thing in his press conference. Like, we've had opportunities. We've done great work to win the ball back. You got to keep it then for a bit. And panic was the word that kind of fitted that sat for me. And the more I watched the game, I've said a couple things on Twitter today about it as well, and I kind of felt the same way. It was a lot of quality versus a lower half Premier League team. And the more I look at it, I think this was not a Pep's tactics were better than Jesse's. Jesse didn't do enough to win the game. Leeds could have had blah, blah, blah. I think it simply came down to when we did our press really well, they still passed their way out of it because they're just better than that. You know, that's not they do pressing exercise with better players and training every week. Wasn't going to surprise me. There was one stage very early in the half where I think it was in their left back position and Leeds just swarmed over. And I thought, we have them here now. And they went keeper, centre half, left back, centre half, keeper, midfielder, keeper. And they just kept passing. And then eventually the ball broke out the first side, 10, 11, 12 passes later. You're just thinking, that's just an extreme amount of quality in a team that they have, that they just are super relaxed on it. And then I think Leeds got rattled. I think at that point, Leeds went, not a whole lot we can do in this game. We're not going to see much of the ball. I think panic set in. But it was nice to see them keep going in the second half and come back in the last 25 minutes. I mean, Joffrey's a toe poke away from 3-2 and a very much more respectable. But losing 3-1 to a team that are light years ahead of most clubs in the Premier League. I think the more I looked at it, I thought we've brought in some players who are probably mid-level Premier League, slightly above mid-level Premier League players in, and the rest of the team is top half championship team, which probably levels us out between 12th and 15th in the league table if you put those players together, and it's kind of where we are. So for me, I kind of thought, free hit. If we lose this game, not the end of the world. But it, as Alex, you said, knocks the cobwebs off because Newcastle is a far more important game at the weekend.
I have a quick question on Jody mentioned in the comments, and I'm always interested in what your take is on players. But Jabby,
I thought he was very good when he came in. I thought he did really well. I thought, do you know what? It's funny. The younger players aren't letting themselves down, from what I can see. Outside of Joffrey, who seems to have stalled a little bit. Not that he's letting us down, he's not. But he's not the explosive force he came in with last season. Somerville's been brilliant. If you look at Stroke, has been having a fantastic season, even out of position. Sam Greenwood coming in is, from a midfielder point of view, he was a striker. He's looked excellent. And again, when the game was getting away from Leeds, he was the one doing the work, trying to run around to get the ball back. He was the one kicking players and trying to disrupt it. So, I think they look really good. Mike, what do you think?
Yeah, the kids are definitely not the ones letting us down this season. I think they've done really well. JB in particular yesterday, I thought when he came on, it was sort of a cameo. He wasn't out there for very long, but did he ever look good on the ball? And what I really like about him, he shields the ball really well. He rides tackles really well and is able to maintain possession, probably better than most of the people in our squad. So he's really good at turning out of danger. He's really good at sort of forcing his way through, using his body, using his size and his strength. You know, for a young guy, he's obviously very, very strong. So yeah, I'm quite happy, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of him, hopefully this season. He's one of those players, I think, that's looked almost too good for the 21s.
Yeah.
And I think it's just a matter of either he needs a loan somewhere where he can play regularly, against senior pros, or he needs to be, brought in off the bench more often so we can see more of him. But I was quite happy. Yeah, the rest of the kids are doing all right. Yeah, Joffrey has, I think, stalled is the right answer. But I mean, I think, like what you're saying, I think it was the term that you used, Jared, was stalled. I think some of that is just a matter of the fact that he hasn't been used as much as he has been before. And I think he's been used in different situations as well when he has come on. So I think he just needs more minutes, right? I mean, this is a couple of times now, like during the friendly games, the warm-up matches, he did the same thing. It was like sort of a toe poke inches away from. So he's just missed that. Yeah, he's missed those
sharpness
3 times now. The last 3 big chances he had, he's missed them by just that much. And I think it's just a little bit of a timing thing.
Yeah,
maybe like he's just slightly behind. So, and because we've seen him do things like that before and beyond. So for me, it's just a matter of getting him back integrated again. Hopefully, his little niggles and stuff are behind him and he's able to play some more minutes. And I think once we get the rustiness off of him and he gets his timing back and everything, he'll be fine again. I mean, I think the quality is there, and I don't think anyone can really doubt the quality. It's just a matter of like you said, maybe he's stalling a little bit. And I think it is down to the amount of time he's been playing and how he's sort of fallen back a little bit in favor, with other players being more favored by Jesse right now.
Yeah, I think the fact that Rodrigo's been looked at as a number 9 this season, in previous years he hasn't been looked at as number 9, especially last year. Gallagher came in. real quickly, Gnonto, not Premier League ready, cost us 7 million, and was a panic buy on the last day of the transfer window. He's not bad, is he?
I think he's great. He's been one of the players since he's come on. That's, I mean, remember the run from midfield? I think in the Bournemouth game.
Yeah,
he's quite a player. I think he's going to have a massive impact this season, and yeah, I mean, what an upgrade over Dan James. I think
right.
I'm very, very excited about Mr. Gnonto at this club, Italian international player that can take us to, I think, the next level. I mean, the fact that he was doing this again against City, and he was physical.
Yeah,
he was physical. I mean, he's the shortest guy on the pitch, and he's bullying people off the ball, bullying guys in the air. Yeah. I was very impressed by him, and I'm very excited. He's got legs that are like tree trunks. I mean, the man's probably got, I don't know. I'm very excited about him, Jer.
I like the point you made about like holding the ball up and winning headers, and that there was a point in the first half where he backed into John Stones and the ball was coming out of the air. He just kept backing up and backing up and backing up and backing up.
Yeah,
the ball literally just stuck into his midriff and dropped. And Stones was just standing behind and going, "I just there's nothing I can do about this." The guy's pushing, like he's just backing up into him, and even with John Stones' power, he can't push him back forward. So, yeah, the little things like that, you look and go, "This kid's got it." Like he's gonna be good. I hope we get the same level of braveness that he's shown against Liverpool and against Man City, against the lesser teams in the league, because I think I said it. He's going to embarrass somebody at some point. I think he's going to absolutely embarrass somebody, because he just, that little 360 pirouette or turn that he does to get out of players, little groups of players. I keep saying I haven't seen a player do that since Rod Wallace, and it's exciting to look at. But yeah. Do we?
Was it Grealish? Was it Grealish? He's having a go at yesterday.
Yeah. Click just kicked Grealish, and I forget from the time. That's a player who's leaving Leeds and decided, okay, I'm just going to kick him. And
I won't be. But I like Gnonto getting involved. I like that.
Straight over, like
he didn't back away. Yeah. Everybody there towering over him. He did not care.
I enjoyed that. I thought this is. I like that kind of player. We haven't got a Berardi, so Willie can fill that gap for a bit. Do we talk about Liam Cooper, or is everyone done talking about Liam Cooper?
Well, I mean, I think we all nothing's really changed. I think in our view of that, it's he's been a wonderful captain for our club, and has really cemented himself in our history as someone I think that we can all be thankful and grateful for. But I mean, the time is sort of passing him by at this point, and the decline has been steep for him, I think. And that's not to say anything about all of the other great stuff that he does, in the dressing room, out in the community, even just, I think probably even the organizational stuff on the pitch that he does is probably still fine, but he clearly has a diminishing skill set. He clearly is doing a lot of silly things now, I think, like tugging and wrapping his arms around, because he just doesn't have the legs to keep up. We saw that yesterday when we had a free kick opportunity in a really good spot, and he,
Twice.
Exactly, right. And he's fouling, when really we should be trying to maximize those opportunities and not blow them, and he's blowing them. So, and why is he doing that? I don't know. Is it because he physically can't keep up, so he's trying to get an edge? It seems that way to me. I mean, not inside his head, I don't know, but it certainly seems it's the trend, right? And we see it defensively.
It's a strange one to think about, because he can't get an advantage from it anymore because VAR exists. So if he does it in a defensive scenario, VAR will check it, give a penalty, you'll get sent off. If he does it in an attacking sense and we score from it, the VAR will check it, see there's a foul in the build-up, and we're up to goal. Like, there's no advantage from it, but he continuously does it, and it's a real, as you said, diminishing skill set, but it's a real diminishing player as well, from playing with older centre halves. And as you get older as a player, when you're playing yourself, you start to do that stuff because it's the sharpness over that 1 yard that you just don't have anymore, that quick fiber stuff. And you have to do something just to kind of even up to get a run at them. And it doesn't work. It doesn't work. And at first, the goal last night, I looked at it. The first time I looked at it, I thought Robin Koch's gone to sleep. And then when I looked at it a second and third time, I was like, there's no way you're passing that ball to Robin Koch. The Man City players way too close. Way too close. Alex, what did you think of it? Or Cooper in general.
Yeah, it's time for him to move on. I hate saying stuff like that to players, but there's a certain group of players that have to be put out to pasture. It's move on to other clubs. I mean, again, the words that come to mind are always hard.
Take him out to the woodshed.
But I love Liam. He's been a great captain. You can't be doing that. And so what about the messages that are communicated? Here you have Pascal Struijk signing a 4-year deal. Thumbs up. He's perfect age. We want that asset. He's the best defensive player that we have.
Mm-hmm.
Then you also have Diego Llorente sign a 4-year contract. So
I knew you were going there.
Right. So what does this send? What kind of message does this send to your starting center back, who's the captain? I mean, they're not thinking about extending him necessarily. I mean, I'd be shocked if that happens.
When's his contract up?
End of next year. I think he's got 18 months left in the next season. But like, you want to be 18 months. You want to be getting that done, because at the end of the season, you know, it's pre-contract territory then, and he's gone. You know,
the answer at that position is Pascal, and
right.
For them not to see that,
I don't think they have a choice at the moment because of the way the situation is. The other option is, and it's actually, you throw Leo Helde in a left back until you buy a left back, or if you buy a left back and you put Struijk in centre half. There was a comment made about he can't be dropped because he's club captain. Club captain is just a term. It's not team captain. Club captain is the person that does all the presentations and all that kind of stuff. Will be the club captain. But that you can have a club captain and a team captain. They can be very different things. And I think, you know, the fact that Cooper was taken off last night, I don't know if he got a knock or a niggle. I didn't see who came on. I just saw Llorente coming onto the pitch. I didn't see who went off. And the second I realized Llorente was coming on, I put my head in my hands like this. And I never saw who came onto the pitch. And then it took me a couple minutes to realize, well, Cooper's not there anymore. So he must have gone off. Was he injured, or did he just get taken off? Because that's not a great showing either. You're taking him off with 15-20 minutes to go to bring on Llorente. Llorente's been a disaster this year.
So I think there's a confidence issue at that position, and that's not good. So I don't know what the solution is. Obviously, they're looking at signing a defender.
But let's get to that then.
Oh
God, we could do the whole lot. We could literally do the whole lot. Right, sharing screen. There we go. We'll start. Let's start with the positions. So we'll start with the goalkeepers, okay? And we don't spend too long talking about any of these. Do you think these are going to be actually real changes, or not at all? What do you think? Dominik Livakovic, Croatian goalkeeper. He's 27 years of age, playing for Zagreb. Been linked with a move to Leeds a couple of weeks ago. What do you think?
Well, I think the assumption that Meslier is going to be sold at some point, then yes. I mean, I think that would be a fine keeper to bring in. He obviously did very well in the World Cup. I don't like necessarily bringing on a player simply because of how well they did at a tournament, but you know, all indications are that he's a quality goalkeeper, and he is. You know, you're not going to find many keepers as good as Meslier at the age of Meslier. Like that sort of 27-ish age is a good age to bring in a keeper, especially because we know they tend to play longer and later in their careers. So I mean, that's a keeper you could bring in and have for 10 years potentially if he if he makes the grade. And I guess for the money it makes sense. Now again, like, there's no need to bring in another keeper right now, necessarily to be unless it's a backup to Meslier, unless Meslier is leaving. Assuming that he's got to be the next one to make room, for us to fund the next round of transfers, then I would be happy with this as a transfer and as a replacement.
Just a real quick one before we get to this. Sorry, Alex, can I get your opinion on this as well before we get to the decision on Livakovic, whether you think it'll happen or not? Do you think the Leicester City model continues, given that Radrizzani has said he needs to step aside now? He's actually said it out loud, although apparently that article was a couple of months old, but he said it. He needs to move aside. And that we know that minimum there's 12 months before the 49er step in. Do we think we go the Leicester model again of sell to buy, or do we think somebody else steps in here and funds this transfer window?
No, I do not think somebody comes in and funds it. I think it's a very robbing Peter to pay Paul kind of situation again in January. I think it's a one in, one out. situation. I think they're going to get rid of some bodies if Matt, the person that we've been most linked to, the defender at Salzburg, Maximilian, what's his,
Wober.
Verber, right?
Verber, yeah, Verber, yeah.
So I think
with the dot,
I think
Verber.
Rads is going to continue. He's like at a casino, and he's riding this hand, and he wants to sell it at the highest, position that he can. And as far as the goalkeeper, I mean, like you said, goalkeepers have a long life. So I'd hate for Meslier to exit this window a little bit too early. So, he's getting into his best years, and he's the best pure shot stopper in the league. That's what I feel. Pure shot stopping ability, Meslier is the best. I don't know about distribution. I don't know about communication with his defense, crossing, things like that. The little things.
End of area.
Yeah.
Right. Penalties, etc. But I think he's the best shot stopper in the league.
I think he's probably one of the best one-on-ones as well.
Yeah,
what we've seen so far. His one-on-ones is very good. But he's a big. He doesn't look big because he's quite slim, but he's a big guy. What, 6'5", 6'6", bigger than that again, maybe
6'5", I think. Yeah, 6'4", 6'5". Yeah, it's very big.
So, do we think Livakovic will happen, or we think it's all paper talk?
I think it could. Again, if Meslier off, I mean, I think there's probably something to it. But again, we just don't know what the club are planning to do with Meslier.
I think we're looking at
Meslier
him.
Will be off though.
I think we're looking at him, and I think that it probably will happen in the summer. I don't think it happens this window.
Meslier goes in the summer. He comes in.
I think that's probably more likely. Yeah,
great. Yeah, I would agree. Goalkeeper, but not just yet. Let's head on the fullback situation. And I've said this because there's one play. Actually, hang on a second. I thought I blocked that bad, Joe. Oh well, I have to live on my PC for a bit longer.
This is sharp. This is good stuff.
Right, let's have a quick chat then. Right, so I think we can start ruling some of these out. We don't spend ages, but this is the number one position we've been linked with players in outside of central midfield for reasons unknown. But we'll start off here. Jesus Vasquez, who is a 19-year-old, has 4 appearances. That's not Jesus Vasquez either. That is a different player. No, it isn't. That is Jesus Vasquez. Moving on. Continue. 19-year-old been linked with Leeds. Apparently, Liverpool, Real Madrid, and other clubs have now entered the race to look at him. So we can probably rule that out as a not going to happen. But the next one beside him is the one I want to talk about. Probably the top 3 are probably the ones worth talking about. Rafael Guerrero, Dortmund, good age. What is he? 29 now, 147 appearances plus for Dortmund. Michael, what do you think of this position? Actually, do you know what? Open forum. Talk about as many of these players as you want to, and what you think.
Yeah, sure. Well, I think I mean, I don't know a ton about all of them. Guerrero obviously has a very good reputation. 29 years of age, I believe. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. So, he's I think he's in a prime age right now. I know we tend to be going younger for the most part with our players, although having someone senior for sort of where we're at right now wouldn't be a bad idea. But we so lack in this area. We don't have any left backs anywhere in the system. So if we're bringing him in, I think we still need to bring in someone younger who can hopefully fill those shoes in a couple of years when he gets older and starts looking at retirement or starts slowing down or whatever. So if we're looking at someone to bring in for the next few seasons, with the idea that there'll be an understudy ready to step in at that point in time, and maybe come in as a sub as needed or whatever, then yeah, that makes sense to me, with that age profile. And again, decent player. Do you want me to just keep going on with the rest?
Yeah, have a chat. Whatever ones you think.
Sure. So Pedraz is an interesting one. It would be interesting. Unfinished business category, right? Correct. So we had him before. He was a winger. Didn't blow the doors off or anything. But he's really, sort of since he was being converted to a fullback or a wingback, has done quite well for himself, hasn't he?
He's a Europa League winner now.
Yeah, and he's looked really good at it. So, in the system that we have right now, I think, do we need someone who's a little more defensive minded? Probably. probably more so than he would offer. But I guess if we're looking at, obviously we're going to get into the center back situation in a minute, and we're looking at, we said Verber, right?
Yeah.
I guess it just depends on the system. We're doing 3 at the back with wing backs. I'd be perfect for that kind of a role, right? So it really just depends on how we're going to play. But I like Pedraza. I wouldn't mind seeing him back. I do like him.
14 games for Leeds, 1 goal. Started off a bit slow, but was kind of hitting his stride before his loan finished. The reason it wasn't made permanent was the deal had a if Leeds get promoted obligation to buy. Leeds didn't get promoted. I'm pretty sure Bates was in charge at that point, or GFH had just taken over. So either way, there was zero money in the pot.
Yeah.
None. Negative money, probably.
Yeah. Kai Wagner, tidy player, plays in MLS. I do have some concerns about bringing in players from the MLS in positions that we are so desperate to fill with quality. Only because it's a different standard of ball, and we just don't know how that's going to translate. I mean, we've seen, for example, with Christensen, as an example, they're coming in from the Austrian league. It's a big step up, and we need someone to fill that role now and not spend half a season getting bedded in there. So that is my concern with that, is I just don't know whether he's ready to make the step up that we need at this point in time. But
not a young player either. He's 27, has about 4 goals, 110 appearances, and did make the MLS Team of the Year this year.
Yeah. I said quality player, but I am concerned about the MLS is sort of a League One, some of the better teams, perhaps championship level standard. He's doing very well against teams of that standard. Is he going to be good enough to, to do it in the Premier League? I don't know. I mean, I guess we'll leave that to the scouts to decide whether that skill set translates. But like I said, I like it, but I have a few reservations. Parisi, I mean, I only know him from seeing us link to him and doing a little bit of looking up. Seems 22. An exciting prospect, quite young though, right? 18 or 19?
He's 22 actually.
He's 22, really? Okay.
Yeah, but consider quite young. I mean, we think 22 is probably mid-age now for footballers, but it's still quite young when you think about it. Strong links with him to other teams within Italy, like Inter Milan are very interested. I think as far as I remember, Mourinho is pretty interested in him as well. So could stay put in Italy, but he's having a very good season at Empoli. He's got 7 caps for Italy under 21s as well. So
okay, well there you go, 22. Yeah, you're right. For some reason I thought he was younger than that, but yeah. So actually 22 is a good age, and obviously playing in Serie A, which is a good standard. And I think that's a solid link. It's something I wouldn't mind seeing at all, and I think also hits the age profile that we tend to look at right now.
Yeah, which rules a few of these out. I mean, Philip Max, who's last on this list, 29 years of age. I don't see him happening. I don't see Jesus Vasquez. Definitely, they're the 2 I could wipe out this list straight away and say not happening. Rest are kind of in the, like Wagner, you could argue, is probably slightly outside the demo as well. Guerrero's 29. So if you're looking at 26 and under, it's hard to believe Alfonso Pedraza is only 26 years of age. I must have looked that up about 4 times. When he was about 26 when he came here in 2016. How was he still 26? But he is. He's a good age, and now his experience at the right level, at the right age. Alex, what do you think of this bunch of potential? One left back in this group, anyway.
I don't know much about all of these players. I would say that Guerrero I like based on the team that he's at and the league that he plays in, and it's similar to. I mean, Jesse's very German influenced, so I think he might fit our team. As far as Kai Wagner, I know he's been linked. I have concerns too. The MLS is a massive jump. It's not physical, so I have less concerns about the championship. I think the championship is miles ahead of the MLS at this point. So yeah, that's where I'm at. Aaron Wan-Bissaka is a head scratcher for me. I think he might have started or played
yesterday. Yeah, he outside before yesterday, and he's a right foot or right back. According to Yorkshire Evening Post, Aaron Wan-Bissaka was being eyed up as a replacement for Junior Firpo. but he plays on the wrong side of the pitch to be a replacement for Junior Firpo.
Yeah.
So I think they might have got their details wrong on that. As a right back, absolutely, but we've got loads of them. We need a left back. Yeah. Also, just balanced out the picture as well, so I threw an extra one in. But he was linked.
He was linked, and I would take him. Normally,
Yeah.
I would probably take him if it was the summer we didn't have Christensen. I would probably. I think he would. I think he's. I rate him. I do rate him, even though Manchester/Scum fans don't as much. I think he's. I think there's a player in there.
Probably
I
fits
don't
our
know.
system
And then
better too, right?
a lot of these are smoke. Go ahead.
Wan-Bissaka probably fits our system better than maybe he does at Scum as well.
I would agree.
Yeah.
I'd agree.
But we have Christensen. I mean, unless you're replacing Christensen, which I doubt. So
I thought Christensen was all right last night. Thought he was okay.
he did okay.
Really
You know,
fine.
against Grealish, who's tricky.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, he bet Grealish up for a while, which is always nice to see. You could argue that Grealish got 2 assists as well, but still he got bet up, so that was nice to watch. I don't condone that, but it's Jack Grealish. You know, you make an exception. All right. So all right, gun to the head. Bad analogy, but gun to the head. Pick one. What do you think, Michael?
I go Guerrero. Go ahead.
Guerrero for
Sorry.
Alex. No, go. Perfect, Alex. No problem. Guerrero. Michael?
Pedraza.
Yeah, I think it's Pedraza as well. I think it's Pedraza. I think they go for Pedraza because apparently the club and the player are both open to the move, and he's been here before, so he knows it. He knows the place.
Hey, he's familiar.
Yeah. I don't know about Wagner. I would like to see Leeds bring in someone either like Pedraza or like Guerrero, but also maybe look at getting someone like Vasquez, a 19-year-old, or someone 18, 19 playing that position as well. Because we don't have anyone in the under-21 side playing left back either, and it's a problem. So we need them. Very short list for our centre backs.
It's by the way, with me, Guerrero and Pedraza, it's really down to age profile.
Yeah,
more than anything.
We need it. We need experience right now. It's, especially in defense. Whatever about the rest of the pitch, we can experiment. But defensively, we need to have players who've been there, done that, can handle the pressure of big players running at them.
But
and these two guys have it.
At this stage in our squad building, I'd be very hesitant to bring in a 29-year-old.
This is the Jason Wilcox territory I keep referring to. This is where we need to bring in the players like that who maybe don't blow your socks off as being big names or quality names, but come in and that experience and calm and professionalism. Yeah. Workhorses as well. People that can do the work,
Mid-20s, experience, but still have the legs.
Yeah. Maximilian Vober. This guy was linked yesterday, I believe it was. Sorry, 2 days ago. Popped up again yesterday, several places saying it. Looking at between the reason this one was interesting, if I got the right one of my notes, Fabrizio Romano put this one out there, and the reason I think that this is just legitimacy to this is because Romano tends to be a lot more specific with the deals than the in the know channels who just say blah 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 linked with blah blah blah. He said it's an 11 million euro deal plus 5 million euro of add-ons. It was the plus add-ons that made me go, I think there's more to this than just a rumor because that's a very specific deal. Can play left back, but hasn't really ever played left back bar a couple of occasions. Is very much a left-sided centre back. Certainly, Liam Cooper plays left-sided centre back when he plays most of the time. Do we like it? Would we like to see it? He's a good age. He fits the bracket. What do we think? And Jesse signed them before. So, Alex, what do you think? No, Alex is frozen. Michael, what do you think?
Okay. Oh, Alex, are you back?
You back?
I'm back.
Cool.
I think we get him. I think we get him over the line. I like him. I think he's an upgrade over Llorente and Cooper. Do I think he's the best center back in the world? Do I think we're getting like an incredible lockdown defender? No, I think he's mobile and I think he knows the system. He's a plug and play guy, and we need that. So,
captain as well, so has leadership qualities there as well, which is always nice to have. He's 24 years of age. It's not bad. Captain at 24 is impressive. 81 appearances and 5 goals for Red Bull. Michael, what do you think of this guy?
Yeah, it's interesting for me. I mean, I like the profile of player. I like him as a player from what I've seen. And I think what you mentioned, being sort of captain at 24 and having a bit of flexibility in terms of where he can play at center back or left back. He has been playing more left back lately this season, I think, than he has previously, from what I understand. So What I guess I'm concerned a little bit about where does he fit in exactly, because at left-sided center back we have Strauch and we have Leo Yelde already. And if we're bringing in a left back as well, then where does he fit? Why do we need another left-sided center back who can also play left back?
Does he fill both roles? Is he your Luke Ayling on the right hand side who can play right back or right centre back? Does he give you a bit more wiggle room on the bench?
Well, that's what I'm wondering. This is what I'm wondering. I'm just wondering what we're bringing him in for. So, are we bringing him in as a left back who will fill in at left-sided center back, because he's not a left back, he's a left-sided center back. For me, it would make more sense to bring in a left back who can maybe fill in at center back the way that Luke Ayling is a right back who can fill in at center back. So I'm not really understanding why we would bring in this particular player or a player with this particular profile. I like what he can do, but are we moving on from Leo Yelde? Or are we changing what Yelde is? I mean, he's basically an older Leo Yelde.
He is. Is it also? And this is where I don't understand. This is where the Diego Llorente decision has me scratching my head. I don't understand why we gave him another contract, given his age, given the season and a half that he's had. I would have assumed this was a replacement for Llorente, an additional centre half who can play in both centre half roles, but could also play on the left, or it's an additional centre back to play three at the back and play wingers. We could do that right now, and we're not doing that. Like, we could have very easily played Llorente, Cooper, and Koch last night, and that would have been. They're better with three of them than they are with two of them. Any version of them in any other order, they're better with three. Maybe this is about another one to come in there that's better than Cooper, or maybe replaces Cooper at the left and back as an experienced player. But he's experienced. He's 24. Leo Yelde. I have to look up Leo Yelde's age, but I don't think he's far off that myself, being honest.
He's a left footer though, right? Verber?
He defender, yeah. Centre back.
Left footer.
See, he's left or he plays left back though. I don't know about that actually. Yeah, Leo Yelde is he's only 19, so there's 3 years.
Yeah, he's young. We're not necessarily blocking the pathway per se, because he's got lots of time ahead of him. But for Verber, if he's I think he's a left footer. I'm not totally sure, but I'm assuming he's left back and left side center back. He's probably left footed.
Imagine so, yeah.
So I mean, we know that Llorente is a right-sided center back who sometimes disastrously fills in at left-sided center back. The issue we have with this is that left-footed center backs don't have to fill in at right-sided center back as often as RCBs do at left, because more players are right-footed, more people are right-footed, more of the population is right-footed. Left-sided center backs are usually able to just play left-sided center back because they fill a very specific niche role and are naturally capable of doing that. I have concerns when we try to
nice to have, not a must-have in most teams. Most teams don't necessarily always have a natural left-footed left center back. So
right footers learn to play left, but left footers don't usually learn to play right because they no longer have. They don't have to.
They're rare
for them to do so, and I have some concerns about it because there are some things that it just makes sense naturally, like the footedness, how you receive the ball, how you distribute the ball, the passing angles, all of that stuff. Right, exactly. What sided foot you are makes a difference, and so. If he's coming in as a replacement for Llorente, I don't really see how that makes much sense either, unless he's played a significant amount of time at a right-sided thing, right-sided center back, and maybe
primarily,
I don't know.
Primarily left back this season by the looks of things.
See, I'd be looking for a right-sided center back to replace Llorente and be back up to Koch.
I'm okay. I'm okay with this guy coming in if he's coming in to play center back, but I don't want a center back who can play left back. I want a specialist position left back.
That's right.
Because we've been playing around with square pegs and square pegs in round holes since Ken Bates was owned the club. It's been a long time. We've always had someone on the pitch who's playing the position that's not really their position, but they're doing a job for the team. That needs to stop. We need to get to a stage where we've got specialist positions that can play in these roles and are comfortable and don't have those 1 or 2 moments per game where they switch off because it's not their natural position. So
the thing I value about this player is that he knows the system.
Yeah.
And it could be a good thing or a bad thing. It could be a good thing if we stay up. So I like the fact that we can just get him over the line. He'll understand the tactics that Jesse wants.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's an excellent point that I probably hadn't thought of. He knows the system. And we've had this conversation before around you either change the system to fit the players you have or you change the players to suit the system that you want to play. And if Jesse is determined to make his system work, maybe that's what he's looking at here, bringing in players that could potentially replace the ones. Maybe it's the case he's looked at our back four and gone, look, give them a new contract, we can sell them then. But in the meantime, bring these lads in to replace them because these guys know the system. We get to where we want to get to quicker if we do it this way.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Well be.
Could
But
be.
again, I still want to see a specialist left back brought in. So it seems like we're going to be left-sided heavy if we bring in this guy and a left back.
Ideally, we should be balanced, but we should have cover on every single. I mean, the dream squad is 22. That's the dream squad. It's 2 players in every single position. You know, that's your dream. 2 hold midfielders, 2 box to box midfielders, 2 right wingers, 2 left wingers, 2 fullbacks, all that. 2 in each centre half. But it doesn't work usually because most people won't just sit on the bench for 4 or 5 years as a rotational option. So it doesn't always happen. But we'll wait and see.
So we're having him and Strauch then at left center back as the 2 players, and then I don't know where that leaves Yelda. Maybe he does some loans or something for a while and see how it comes.
I think Liverpool needs to go out on loan anyway. He did a bit of it in Scotland as well, but yeah, he's 19. He's still got time. Yeah. Okay, let's have a look. Centre midfield, and I don't think we need one of these. They're nice to have. But these are all the midfielders, central midfielders that have been linked with Leeds over the last, say, 2 months, just before the World Cup, into the World Cup now. Alex, where's your head at when you look at this bunch of players? You've got Azzedine Ounahi, the Moroccan international, had a fantastic World Cup, but plays for Angers, but hasn't played an awful lot, if truth be told. He has 46 appearances. He's less than 90 appearances in his career to date. He's 22 years of age. Sasa Lukic is a number 10, plays with Torino, he's their captain. George Hall in the Birmingham City first team squad, but under 20, he's 18. Nicholas Raskin, 47 appearances, tidy little player, plays for Standard Liège, so not a great league. Jose Cifuentes, Ecuadorian, playing at LAFC over in the MLS as well. And then Abdelhamid Sabiri, who is as well 26 years of age and is at Sampdoria, but only made 11 appearances so far for them. When you look at that group and the centre midfield position in general, what do you think of the group? What do you think? Does anything in that add to what we have, or is this a position we just don't need to fill?
I don't think it's a position of need. I would say if I had to go for a midfielder, and I don't know really much about any of these guys, I would go for an attacking midfielder, somebody that's bringing more in the offensive transition than maybe Raka or Adams currently are. I will say also that I know a little bit about MLS. LAFC are legitimate. They're a legitimate side in MLS. LAFC has got the most amount of kind of talent. I think that LAFC could probably compete in maybe a European league. I don't know if how well
at least championship quality. I think for them. They say that MLS is sort of a hybrid League One championship. They would be on the champions side of that equation.
They're a legitimate side, LAFC for sure. They're going for the title every year. So
they won this year. I think they did.
They won the. I think they might have won the double. I think they won the cup and the league itself, so anyways, I will say that if I had to go, and I don't know enough about these players, Jira, maybe you can expand on their profiles, but I would go for an attacking midfielder because I think we've got defensive midfielders covered.
The bulk of them will be attack-minded midfielders. You're looking at number 8 here, Lukic. Maybe Ounahi to a degree push into the number 10, but Cifuentes as well, kind of push into the number 10 role. So you're looking at 3 potential number 10s there. Raskin, high energy midfielder, good player, but apparently being watched by Barcelona. That's popped up. They're keeping an eye on him. George Hall, I think, is leaving Birmingham because he wants more minutes, but I don't think he'd get more minutes moving up to the Premier League. I think he'd end up ultimately being in the 21 side for a year or so. He's still young, he's only 18. Sabiri popped up again, but I don't think there's nothing solid in that one either. But I think the ones that look the most solid either Azzedine Ounahi, Radrazani likes him and has commented on the fact that he wasn't on a scouting sheet when he was looking at, and he wanted to know off Orta why we hadn't scouted him. I think Orta's reply was, we've been watching him for 2 years, but never made him aware we were watching him for 2 years. Sasa Lukic is a bit more experienced. Lukic is 26, 147 appearances, 13 goals. Was the Torino captain and was stripped of the captaincy this year because he told the club he wanted to leave. And it's kind of been iced out at the moment of the team just based on the fact that he wants to leave the club, but is an international and is considered to be a very good number 10. He could also probably play an 8 with an attack-minded one. Cifuentes apparently has had a great season in the MLS. I don't know enough about the MLS to talk about him in detail, but apparently he's had a very good season. Michael, what do you think of this bunch?
Yeah, I echo the comments that I think we need someone who's a little more attack minded. I think we do have some pretty good defensive minded players already. And in that, I think Unahi probably looks to be the best option. I think all around. Lukic, I do like the profile. He's slightly more all around midfielder than someone like Unahi, I think. I think Unahi may be even more attack minded than Lukic is, potentially, and certainly statistically, it seems to bear out that way. Whereas Lukic, like I said, he seems to be more of a well-rounded player, and perhaps that's what we need potentially. But I might be a little more excited by Unahi. That could be the World Cup talking, potentially.
Does that to a lot of us to get excited about somebody? Thomas Bro.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. George Hall, I can't say I know enough about him, really. I mean, he's obviously very young, and I think at 18 years of age, he's not really a first-team player that we're looking to put in right away. I agree that he would probably find himself warming in the 21s for a while, maybe making some appearances here and there. We're not super sure. I think this is a position that we need to strengthen, especially if we end up losing Click, Forshaw either in January for Click potentially. Then definitely we have to bring someone in. If not, then I don't know if this is really a January priority as much as it would be next summer. But someone like Unahi or Lukic should be great. George Hall for the long term. The others I can't comment on quite as much. I'm aware of them, but.
That's an interesting comment there. Lukic is seen as a similar type of player to Pablo in that kind of area, but I think Pablo kind of peaked in the end of his career, more so in the early part of his career as well. It was in the 30s where Pablo really started showing people exactly what he could do. I agree. I think you're looking at a Mateus Click replacement there. I think he's all but gone. I think Forshaw's probably done enough last night to get to the end of the season, maybe get a short extension. There is an option to extend automatically if the club want to. It's in the club's hands to do that. But I would agree with Michael and Alex. I think bringing one of these experienced ones, to bring in someone like a Lukic, and then maybe bring in someone like a George Hall or a Unahi right behind them. So, minutes off the bench and could potentially step up in a year or so. Do we see any of these happening? Or again, are we looking at paper talk? Michael.
Sorry, me?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. I mean, I do think we have to bring in someone. I think it's pretty clear that if Click does stay in January, that'll be the end of it anyway. I mean, the next half year will be the end of the road for him. I don't know what we do with Adam Forshaw. It's difficult to say with him because I think he's still a quality player there. But yesterday he seemed to be the only guy in midfield willing to put his foot on it and try to do something with the ball, as opposed to booting it away. So I mean, I still really like Adam Forshaw as a player. The injury stuff is difficult, and if we want to keep Adam Forshaw around and have someone that we don't have to rely on for more than maybe 8 to 10 starts a season, and then have him there as an option, a strength option, I'd keep him. But yeah, we do need to bring someone in probably next summer. And I would say something like Unahi or Lukic would be great. Yeah, both of them are more attack minded. Like I said, I think Lukic, maybe it's just an experience thing, seems to be a more well-rounded player, as I was saying before. But both of them certainly attack minded. And I think we could benefit from those types of players for sure. And look, if someone's, again, I'm not, yes, if Lukic is half as good as Pablo, get now, says Hans of Latin Ireland. That's exactly, that's what I mean. I mean, if he is anything like the profile of Pablo, then we could use that.
The only issue, there's a thing about Unahi that's interesting. It was mentioned in the comments here as well. He does apparently, there it is there. Dale mentioned it. They want 40 million for him, which would be 10 million per 10 appearances. And that he's managed in his career. He's played 46 games. But I don't think that's a buyout clause. That's what they would like. As from what I've read, they would accept considerably less than that, considering where Angers are. Let's wait and see. This is the... Let's get to this guy. Just get him out of the way. Noah Lang. No, right? You just like this guy again. It's just that shirt in general. Every time I see it, I think of the Kettler and I get PTSD from it. Let's ignore let's ignore all the personal stuff. All right, let's just try and take all of the stuff he's been involved in and just not throw it in the bin, but put it gently to the side, out of shot for 1 minute, and just talk about him as a potential attacking midfielding option. He's 23 years of age, 49 appearances since he signed permanently for Bruges, and has 9 goals. And interestingly enough, he was in the Ajax academy at the same time as Pascal Struijk, which is interesting. Michael, what do you think?
Well, he's a quality player. I mean, you can't, if we're going to put aside the off-field personal type stuff, he's clearly a quality player, and he clearly wants a move. I wonder why he hasn't, been able to go elsewhere when he's clearly angling for it so much, and maybe that's off-field related, potentially. I like him as a player. I think he's exciting. He's the kind of player like sort of like Rafinha or whatever, would get you up off your seat. Do we really need him? Probably not. I think we're okay in the winger department right now, unless we're looking at moving some players on, and bring him in as a replacement. But overall, I'd say, given the off-field stuff and given that we probably don't need that profile of player right now, it's a no for me.
Yeah, I know I say put it to one side and talk about the player, but then at some point you've got to talk about it again, don't you? It's
really, yeah, it's hard to set that aside. So
it's a lot. He's apparently he's a smashing player. We were very close to signing him. Apparently we decided it was a toss up between him or Dan James, and Bielsa wanted Dan James, so we went off and tried to sign Dan James. So we could have ended up with him before a lot of his issues started. The thing I keep going back to with this player is he's very young. He said a lot of stupid things when he was even younger. The unfortunate thing about people in his position is if you say something stupid and you're a footballer, it's going to get picked up by people. Yeah. Then it's on the internet and it's never going to go away. So it'll always be dug back up to beat him with. And people can be selective as well. I mean, we gave Kiko Casilla an awful hard time for apparent racial, whatever racial abuse it was called. It wasn't, whatever way it was phrased. Probability, the laws of probability. It wasn't the EFL said that he was guilty of racial abuse. So on that basis, then there was a lot of stick that he got. But a lot of the stick that I thought Casilla got was because a lot of people just didn't want him around anymore, and it became a handy kind of stick to beat him with. Lang coming in could be a similar situation as well. He's done things in his past. He said some stuff. He might not believe that anymore. He might not be like that anymore. But every time he has a bad game or he goes through a bad run, someone's going to dig that up and go, we should never sign this guy in the first place because of all this stuff. So, the other side to it is that if he does come in and carries his attitude with him, you've got the situation where you've seen some, Mario Balotelli, fantastic striker, awful attitude, caused problems in every dressing room.
That's
Hatem Ben Arfa. Was it one of Hatem Ben Arfa's agent described him as the greatest single waste of talent in a generation, was what he described him as. Yeah. He said he could have been a Ballon d'Or winner if he hadn't had an attitude problem. So even when you want to get away from it, the talent is there. Ultimately, if you look at those two players' careers, they never settled anywhere. They moved around an awful lot. They had moments of brilliance and then more moments of high profile off the field stuff. So it's hard to get away from this. Alex, how do you feel about Noah Lang?
I take him. I take a chance on him. That's what I do. Yeah. I think there's a player in there. There's talent, and he's got to play. So if he's got an attitude problem, maybe if he's getting a regular run of games. Jesse's a good man manager too. He understands. I think Jesse's probably the best at managing personalities. We all know his tactics. We've got questions over those, but I think he's a good man manager.
It's a very good point. Just on Kimberly's question here, how did he handle fallout behavior? He didn't apologize for it. And one of the coaches involved in one of his former clubs said that they were shocked that he was even brought to the World Cup because of his ability to upset other players as well as coaching staff as well. He doesn't handle. He's out of favor at Bruges at the moment. A lot of it's because of his attitude, but he was dropped for a couple of games, and apparently he's not adapting well to a bit part player for Bruges. So that would kind of give you an idea if he's sitting on the bench. He won't be. Now it's a bigger league. He might be more patient. You have someone there that knows him from his childhood, kind of thing with Struijk. Kind of they come up together in Ajax. Again, you've got somebody like Jesse Marsh maybe who can put his arm around his shoulder, but it's a big gamble. I think if Somerville hadn't shown what he's shown since he's come into the team this year, I think this was a much more likely transfer than it probably is now.
Yeah.
I think looking who we have Somerville now, I don't think we really need another winger. Again, looking at Willie Gnonto, not being played as a striker, being played as an outside right or an outside left player. So there's another winger option. I don't think we need him anymore. I think there was an argument there beforehand. So we'll move away from him and we'll talk about that. So we're bang on the air. So we'll wrap up with these two. Boulay DA from Salernitana on loan from Villarreal, an unusual one, but had a good World Cup and is having a very good season over in Italy. And Chris Wood, who must have the busiest agent in the world to be managing to get linked to other Premier League clubs at this point. If you take out the goals he scored from penalties, there's not a whole lot left. Alex, let's start with you. Boulay DA, Chris Wood. What are your thoughts on these two?
DA, I don't know much about, so I haven't even looked at a highlight video of him. Jared, to be honest with you, Chris Wood, obviously we know and I loved from the championship days. That was a long time ago, especially in the career of a footballer. There's a lot of, there's not a lot of tread left on those tires. With that being said, he's a number 9. He is an out-and-out number 9 that can lead the line, that is familiar with Leeds, that could possibly be a target. I don't know how he's, is he a pressing number 9? That's what Jesse kind of wants a little bit if you're not going to be amongst the goals.
Yep.
So, again, I think Wood is paper talk.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree. I think both of them are paper talk because Boulay DA is an incredibly complicated transfer to get done. Maybe that's exactly the kind of transfer Victor Arthur wants, one that can fall through at the last minute.
What's complicated about it, Jer?
Torino have an option to buy the player for 22 million from Villarreal. So he's on loan from another club that now Leeds have been linked with him and to buy. So Torino could activate the clause in the contract and buy him for 22 and then sell him immediately to Leeds for 30. Something like that. Make an immediate profit on him. That's the way it would have to be structured. That's why it's complicated. Leeds can't just go in and buy DA, or they sit out and they wait for him to return to Villarreal in the summer, and then they try and buy him directly from Villarreal, or they do a pre-contract thing with Villarreal where they buy the player now and wait till the end of the season. But none of it is clean. There's no A to B option here. There's a C, unfortunately, floating around. I threw this one up because this came up. Victor, I always get his name wrong. Is it Gokares or Goyokares? I never get his name right. He's very good and very good in the championship. We've been linked with a lot of Premier League clubs all of a sudden.
I like him a lot.
Yeah, but he popped up in the summer very briefly as someone Leeds looked at, and then went away and Leeds have been mentioned with him again. There is a portion of people who will look at Chris Wood and go, we should bring him back. But they're the same people that want Charlie Taylor back. These are people who don't see any players that we don't have or have never had on our books at some point and go, well, I don't know any footballers, so bring those two back. He's past it. His best days are well behind him. He might have scored at the weekend from a penalty, but he's way behind the quality we're looking for. He doesn't press the ball. DA has struggled in every club he's been at until he's got this move to Salernitana. He's doing really well. He's got 6 goals and 14 appearances, but that's it. That's his impact. It's 6 in 14, more than a goal every other game. But he hasn't done it in any other league at that level. So he's a huge gamble as well. So, and Ben Burton Diaz hasn't been linked with us just yet. We've probably got another week or two to go before that one pops up again.
And not really the profile we want either, anyway.
No,
with Ben Burton Diaz. No. So,
and then you have Noah Okafor from Red Bull as well, who fits the kind of pacey, can play wide, can play 10, can play striker, rotational player, but isn't an out-and-out striker. So that's right. So we'll get rid of this.
Look, as far as having focal points for those two that you had up on the screen with Dia and Wood, I mean, they're not players that are going to score you a lot of goals.
Nope.
Dia perhaps maybe more than Wood at this point. Potentially. What does he have in terms of goals and assists? It's not a lot.
6 and 14 games this season.
6 goals and 2 assists in 14 games. So it's not a bad return. Like a goal involvement almost every other game, almost every other match.
If you look though at his longer career, I'll pull up real quick. It's not great viewing, to be fair. He has Before Villarreal, he's 5 goals and 25 appearances for Villarreal before they loaned him out. Before that, he was at Rennes in France and he had 24 goals and 78 appearances, which is not too bad, but not a huge amount. 2 goals in 6 games for the reserves, and then the team he started his career off with 15 and 21. He's 26 as well, so he's on the lip of being too old of a signing for Leeds based on the profile that Leeds in the buy.
Yeah, so I mean, with him and Wood, like, we're not looking at real goal scorers, but we do need a focal point, someone to lead the line, someone to hold the ball up, someone to bring our other attacking, wingers or half wingers, attacking midfielders in, right? Someone that can get Aronson involved, can get Gelhardt involved, can get the other players involved. So from that perspective, I mean, I think either one of them would be okay. But not necessarily really, I don't think what we need long term. I'd be looking at definitely different profile, different age of players. Victor Gyökeres, or however it's pronounced, I'm not entirely sure. Certainly looks to be really, really good. And, we can never forget that we're always constantly linked with someone like Che Adams as well, which would also, I think, fit the profile.
He would fit the profile, but I don't think he's a good enough finisher. I don't think he's better than what we have.
Yeah,
I think we have to start looking at our squad and going, any player we bring in at this point has got to be what we have plus 1 at least.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah.
I'll give you 2.
I'm not advocating for Che Adams. I'm just saying it's one that always tends to come up.
You
mentioned Brent Burton Diaz, which also seems to come up, right?
There's times I look at Che Adams and think, geez, it'd be a fantastic signing to get.
Yeah,
same with Diaz. But then you look at the kind of other bits and you go, well, they're going to have to press. They have to press in the system. And both players have been criticized for their abilities to press. So, sorry, Alex.
I'll give you 2 players that I think would fit the system, and this is my American bias coming in. Both of them you're going to hate, and I think it's going to go on as the championship season continues, because it looks like Burnley and Sheffield United are, in a way, boat racing the championship. But one's at Norwich, Josh Sargent. I know many of you did not rank him. You won't like him. Because he had a poor year last year with Norwich, but he's on fire in the championship. I think he will do his job, put in a shift, and I think he'll be good. I think he might fit this chaos ball kind of model. Another one is Daryl Dike from West Brom. I really like him. I called him Baby Lukaku. I really like him. I like him too. I don't want to say he's been injured, but he's just physical. I mean, they can't get the ball off of him, and sometimes when he's healthy, and he's a big player, he's a big boy, I just like he always tries to put a shot on goal. I don't know if he's an out and out, like he's going to press for 90 minutes, be winded, but I think he'll kind of drop the net and go on signals and stuff like that. I think he can press like that, but I really like him.
Question then before we wrap up. Well, 3 questions. Do you think we're going to sign anybody? Do you think we fix the 2 problem positions, assuming they're just left back and striker, the 2 main gaping holes? And do you believe we'll sign anybody outside of just a left back or a midfielder? Michael?
I think that given some of the rumblings coming out of the club, and given even just sort of the media that are close to the club, like we're talking like Phil Hay and Graham Smith, seem to be, indicating without outright necessarily saying, although, Phil has sort of reported us being linked with specific players now in the Athletic, which is a big contrast to the way they were sort of talking about transfers at the end of the last transfer window, where it's sort of like, well, yeah, maybe they're looking at some people, but the business seems to be done and it's been a good window, et cetera, et cetera. So to me, that says there's rumblings coming out of the club that we are going to make some signings this time around. I would put my money on that we will, and I expect it will be in both positions. I think it has to be in both positions. I guess we'll just see how it goes over the next few matches with Rodrigo, if he's able to get his form back. Like, he was awful yesterday, frankly. But I mean, again, it's the Man City test. Like, how can you can't really use that as your litmus test. So we'll see how he does over the next little while. But I think if he's not able to sort of recapture the goal scoring form he had before the World Cup break, I think they might hit the panic button and look for another forward as well. But left back for sure they will, and maybe the left center back too. Like maybe it's both, potentially. Outside of that, I don't see us bringing in anybody else. I mean, even if Cleek leaves, I still don't see us signing a midfielder in January.
Okay.
So I think we could need to if he does.
I think we get Wober over or Maximilian over the line.
Oh, you've lost you, Alex. You
Lost
lost your audio there, mate. No, don't got you. You're not muted. We don't have you for sound. Are you plugged out? No.
Nothing. Silent.
No, I always find fiddling around with the wire. Just look at the headset, see if it works.
You're off. You're off.
I think we sign 2. I think we'll get 2.
2?
Yeah.
What do you think, Jared?
I think we probably get a left back. I think
is that Verber?
No. I
think you don't think the Verber thing's going to happen, or
I do, but I don't think it's going to be Sorry, it'll be the additional one to what we get, but I think we get left back and a striker.
Left back for sure, and a forward as well.
Yeah, but I don't know who the hell it's going to be because.
And then the +1 is Verber.
+1 is Verber.
I can see that.
I'd like it. I'd like them to go and do forward. I'd like them to get left back, get Verber, and also bring in someone like Lukic in a striker. I think that's a solid window. It's also would be very close to what Newcastle did last season, which gave them the push to around 3 or 4 players in different positions just to strengthen the entire block up. I think if we do that, no, I'm not excited about any of the strikers we're being linked with. Martin Terrier is the only one I kind of looked at, and he's primarily a left-sided player.
Yeah.
But I was excited about him.
Like a Ben Burton Diaz, same kind of deal.
Yeah. He does a bit more work than Diaz, but still, he's not a wide player.
Similar profile, eh?
Correct. And he's a big player as well. Like they're not small players, and it adds more height to the team as well. But the striking position is the one I'm most worried about in terms of who we bring in and when we bring them in. I think it could be late in the window. I could be very wrong on this. I probably will be. I think it could be late in the window, and I don't think it'll be anything that excites us. But I think the left back for me needs to be the next set of the signings we make from a defensive perspective. Got to be good signings. They've got to be steady, good. They can't be gambles.
When are we due to welcome Bamba Dieng, by the way?
When's he getting off his plane?
and also, is Rad still working on Cody Hekpo, or is that?
I believe he's talking to Liverpool now about the potential to bring him in on loan next month. Yeah. Alex, what do you think?
Love it, Michael. I love it. Your humor is it's so good. Yeah. Look, I think we get Wober over the line. I think that's legit. And I think that we get a forward player. Strikers are at a premium in world football. So I don't know if we're going to get, an out and out number 9 like we all want. And, when the story, sorry about that. The Bamford saga is very sad. So anyways, my punchline is we get Wober and we get a forward player. I don't think it's going to be an out and out number 9.
Yeah, that's where I am. That's does that worry you?
Extremely. Because that's what we need. We don't have a number 9. Like, I mean, I know Rodrigo's been filling in there and he's been scoring goals, which is great. And I know that he's played 9 before, but I mean, most of his career, he wasn't 9, like not out and out. Again, he's a player that likes to drift wide and come in. And I think he's better there. He's not a line leading focal point style number 9. And that's what I think we need right now. Yeah. So I would be concerned, we need a Bamford replacement. Or we need Bamford, and I don't think the second one's going to happen.
I'm not sure what phase of his cryo chamber he's in right now, but I'm sure they'll be letting him out soon to see if he can kick something without breaking a toenail or something else at this stage.
Surgery to fix the surgery to fix the surgery.
Joke made during the week. Somebody says Patrick Bamford was speaking about his injury problems, and sprained his vocal cords while doing so.
Yeah, I feel badly about Patrick Bamford because I really like him as a player. But.
It's just where it is, for me until Rad Razani can sell this team and exit. It's just where we're at.
Yep.
Lads, thank you very much Really appreciate it. And thanks everyone who has tuned in to watch it. It's an interesting discussion. We'll have to wait and see. I'm sure it's going to heat up in the next couple of days. Anybody will start being linked with everyone and their mother over the next couple of weeks, and we'll see where we sit. But I think it's pretty clear. Like if we can strengthen the areas that we can strengthen, I think we could be okay. If we don't, I think we're in big trouble. Michael, what's your predictions after January? Let's assume. If we do get players in, and if we don't get players in.
Yeah, just to echo a sort of a comment in the comments there at the bottom with Dow. Our new signing, Stuart Dallas.
Angus Kinnear's program notes in 2 weeks time.
just like new,
like brand new.
If we get some signings, I mean, I think do we sort of pull out of the slight nosedive that we've been in? Yeah, potentially. I would have liked to have seen these signings earlier in the season. I think we've put ourselves under it a little bit, a little under the cosh now. I know we have a game in hand, and if we win it, great. That makes things look a little bit better. But right now, I think we've put ourselves under a lot of pressure, more than we needed to, and sometimes that pressure mounts, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you do if the pressure is on. So. If we make the signings we need to make, it could be a shot in the arm that we need. And I just hope it's not sort of too little too late at that point. But I think we'll be, if we make the signings, if we get a proper center forward, if we get an actual specialist left back, and maybe that +1 that we're talking about with Verber, then I think we might be able to do enough just to keep us out of trouble. But I think we're going to be looking over our shoulders the rest of the season, unfortunately. Yeah. Which to me was not necessary. We didn't have to be doing that. We could have done better in August, and not have had to do that. But that's the situation we're in now.
Alex, if we bring the signs in versus if we don't bring the signs in, where are we at after Christmas?
I think no matter what, it's going to be tight. It's going to be a scrap. I think unless we get some incredible $40 million striker that's going to bang in, I don't know, guaranteed like 10 goals.
But we're getting the Kettler on loan, aren't we? At some point, aren't we? For a couple of months. They're gonna give
my God. For a bit. Yeah.
There we go.
So I think it's going to be a scrap, and it's up to Jesse to. And I think
wiggle the computer.
Mm-hmm.
But so I think we're going to be streaky. I think there's going to be a run of games where I think we look incredible and we're banging in goals and we've got all these different players on fire. And then there's going to be scary, we're just letting in a lot of goals and it's going to be kind of like that. And I
lost you for a sec there, Alex. Alex having connection problems.
Scary and streaky. I mean, that's to summarize.
Yeah,
what you were saying.
Yeah,
a bit scary sometimes, a bit streaky sometimes. We'll look decent.
Not being unlike the first half of the season that we've had games where we've played against the better sides and done really well, and we shouldn't have done, and then we played against the bottom six and we've done badly against them. And we should have done better. So
we need to start doing better against them, though, because if we don't start beating the bottom six, we're going to be pulled right down.
Yeah,
our game in hand against Forest is like a must win.
100%. Yeah, every game. The way I look at it, every game against that, at least the 14th below us right now, because Wolves are already starting to move. They're not going to be a problem.
Yeah,
and they're going to throw serious money into this transfer window as well. I will tell you, did not come in there for the squad that he's got. They will be signing lots of players, and they won't be Portuguese. So it'll be a brand new era for Wolves to get used to not having every signing being a Portuguese player. But it's gonna, I think it'll shoot them up the league pretty quickly. So yeah, I agree, folks. We'll leave it there. We'll wrap it up because it's getting on. Just want to say massive thanks to Alex and to Michael. Michael, where can people find you if they want to have a chat with you?
At Maynard M on Twitter.
Alex, how about you? It's the wrong moment.
Apologies for the connections issues. No, American and Leeds, all the moments, all the channels. Thank you, Jared.
No problem. Anytime. I've got to press the button I shouldn't have pressed here now. Here we go.
Thank you.
Brilliant. And folks, you get me on Legion at the View on Twitter or on YouTube as well if you want to, because you're already here right now. So why would you go anywhere else? I will see you back tomorrow morning for some Leeds news. And again, just a massive thanks to the lads for driving by. Interesting conversation. And we'll see you tomorrow. Bye.